Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Now, if I don't use this and I just talk like this, can you hear me?
Yes. I need the microphone for
But
the
you need the
camera.
microphone.
Yeah.
Okay. So, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Okay, my name is Steve Tartaglia, and today I'm going to talk to you about building families. And you know, it's funny, normally I like to start with a prayer, but we've done that. So today I'm going to start with Minecraft. How many of you know what Minecraft is? Okay, how many of you don't know what Minecraft is? That's a good mix. That's great. Okay, so first of all, Minecraft is a video game. And there's two reasons why I'd like to start with Minecraft. First is this reason. Because when you're doing family ministry, you really have to try to meet families where they are. And everyone's doing screen time, a lot of screens in your face. Okay, so does that sound about right to you? That's where families are. And video games, and kids are all about screens and video games. So that's the first reason. Got to meet families where they are. Second reason is because of this. Minecraft is a game about building. It's about constructing structures and building worlds. And that's really the topic of this talk today. So that's what we're going to start with. And now, since about half of you are not familiar with Minecraft, I'm going to have to paint like a word picture for you of this game. And it might seem a little slow at first, but I'm telling you, if you pay attention to this, you're going to see the connections, and I will also make those connections explicit for you. So I'm asking you to bear with me and be patient, and it's going to click very, very well for you. You'll see. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Minecraft, let me just start by telling you about it. Minecraft is a video game that has become very popular over the last few years. Minecraft is about mining resources and building structures out of the resources that you mine. In Minecraft, the player is represented by a little man about this tall, and I'm telling you, I'm not making this up, his name is actually Steve. Unbelievable. Great. Steve starts by digging in the dirt with his bare hands, and that really does sound about right. He's digging in the dirt with his bare hands, and he's making a shelter out of the blocks of dirt that he mines. And then he mines trees to collect wood, and he makes tools from that wood. And with those tools, he can mine harder things like stone, iron, coal, diamonds, emeralds, etc. And using the resources that he collects, he builds advanced tools and advanced buildings. Are you with me so far? Great. After some time, Steve gets hungry. You couldn't tell, right? You know? And if Steve gets too hungry, his health declines. If his health declines too much, he dies. So Steve has to collect food. He has to locate food sources. He can plant food. He can plant seeds to grow wheat, to make bread. You can plant seeds for pumpkins and watermelons and carrots, potatoes, and beets, all kinds of things. But in order to plant, he's got to hoe the ground. And then he also has to plant near water. And he has to wait a few days while it grows and then harvest whatever he planted. And in some cases, then he has to cook it or prepare it in some kind of special way. Now, he can also go hunting or fishing. If he wants to go hunting, he's got a variety of animals that he can hunt and eat. Cows and pigs and chickens and sheep, etc. You know, if he's smart, he finds a pair of these animals and he builds a pen for them and he feeds them. And when you do that in Minecraft, it inspires this pair of animals to reproduce. Now, it's a child-friendly game, okay? So, but let me describe this to you, though. Okay, so Steve feeds the animals, and he has to feed them what they like to eat. He can't just feed them whatever he wants to feed them. He's got to feed them what they like to eat. And when he does, little hearts appear. He's got to feed 2 animals, same kind. Hearts appear over their heads. They turn around. They give each other a little kiss. Seriously, right? They give each other a kiss, and whoop, there's a little baby animal. Little baby animal. And in a couple of days, that little animal turns into an adult animal of that type. Okay, so sometimes Steve cannot find the resources that he needs on this island that he lives on, and so he has to travel to another land to find the resources that he needs. And he can do this in 2 ways. He can either swim there, which is really slow and he runs the risk of drowning or getting attacked, or he can build a boat and row there, but that presumes that he's got the resources that he needs and he knows how to do it, right? But it's much faster and to transport things is way better to build a boat. So when he gets to this new land, now he has to now he can actually find other resources, and guess what? Occasionally he finds a village, and he can trade with the villagers to get what he wants. But he has to give them what they want, and sometimes he doesn't have what they want. So he has to go back and he get it, right? You know, you can't give somebody something unless you got it yourself, etc. Okay, so in order to trade and get something meaningful for himself, he's got to give something meaningful to them. And he has to be careful because Minecraft cycles between day and night, and the monsters come out at night. And if Steve's outside at night, there are a variety of Minecraft monsters that he has to fight. And again, it's a child-friendly game, you know, so the monsters are not really gruesome or scary looking, you know. But if you can kind of picture, there's like child-friendly looking zombies and gigantic spiders, you know, that bite, skeletons that shoot arrows, and creepers, these little things that come next to you and they blow up, and they blow up all the stuff that you're working on, you know. And there's a number of other monsters that Steve's got to contend with if he's outside at night. Okay, great. So if Steve wants to fight the monsters, he can make himself some armor to protect him, and a sword, and a bow and arrow, and he can make torches to light up the areas so that he can see better and fight these monsters. And you see, the benefit of fighting these monsters is that he can actually earn points and gain valuable items if he defeats them, but he runs some risks. If he gets killed by the monsters, then he loses all of his points, and he drops all of the stuff that he's that he's collected. And you know, he does not want to drop his stuff because he's worked really hard to get them. It's really hard to get some of that stuff. He does not want to drop them. So, you know, he's got to really take care of himself. And you know, here's the thing on that, right? If he does get killed by one of these monsters, you know, they call it respawning, but it's really, he's just going to wake up in some place where he originally started, you know. So wherever his original starting point is, he's going to wake up there, but he's not going to have anything with him. It's like he started all over again. Here's the problem though, right? Supposing he's gone off to an island somewhere and he's trading with these villagers and there's a monster and it kills him, now he's back in his original island with nothing. So he's got to really start again, start from the beginning kind of. Now, a way that Steve can kind of get around that is he can build a chest. And he can store his treasures in a chest, right? You know? And so it's like having a bank account kind of, you know? You can put all of his cool stuff in a chest so that if he gets killed, he's still got the chest, he's still got all of his cool stuff in this chest. Okay. Now, of course, he doesn't have to fight the monsters. He can just build a bed if he has gathered wood and sheared wool from his sheep, and then he can safely sleep through the night and no monsters bother him. And he wakes up in the morning and he starts a new day. Now, I can see by your faces, you're like, this guy, he's like out of his mind here. He's really into this game, isn't he? How many of you are thinking, oh my God, what have we gotten into? Okay, so now I'm going to start to try to make some of these connections for you a little bit. My family got involved with Minecraft this year. My little boy, he got this game for his birthday in November. This is my little Nick. Nick, he wanted Minecraft. He was reading these books on Minecraft and watching videos on Minecraft, and my wife was like, let's get him another book on Minecraft. I go, no, let's get him Minecraft. Okay, so little did we know that we would all get hooked. And man, activity ever, right? At first, each of the kids would take turns building their worlds in Minecraft, and then they'd save their game when their turn was over, and they'd come back to it again, and it was so slow going building their little worlds here, you know? But eventually, we had this really great idea. We decided to build a family world. And this is where we would take turns being Steve, right, in the family world, you know? And as a family, we sat around the dinner table and we discussed what cool things we wanted to build in this world. All of the really neat things that we wanted to accomplish together. But the twist on that was we had to work together as a family. That meant that each of us had a responsibility or a set of responsibilities that we had to do in order to contribute to accomplishing our shared vision. And that we could not go forward as a family unless everyone was participating and upholding their kind of thing. Sound cool so far? I think it does. It really worked well. It worked really well for us because each of us had different things in the game that we were interested in and that we were good at. And there were other things that we were less interested in and weaker at. Each of us could contribute from the youngest to the oldest. And we would each have a share in building this really awesome world together. Now, I'm going to take you through it because this is really good. Jana, now, she was 4 years old, but boy, don't say she's 4 now because she's 5 and she'll ding you for it, right? You know? I'm body daddy. I'm a big girl now. I'm not a little girl, right? You know? Okay, Jana, 5 years old. She goes fishing on her turn, and she catches food, as well as other rare and valuable things that we need, but we can only get through fishing, like saddles. Okay, now if you play this game, you know you can only ride a horse if you have a saddle. And, oh man, you want to have a saddle, but you can't get a saddle. It's so hard to get a saddle, right? You've got to fish for that for a long, long time. And Jana is very serious. She is very serious about doing this job. Before she goes fishing, she has this little ritual that she does, and it's so funny. She does a little wiggle. You know, it's a little 5-year-old. She does a little wiggle, she does a little turnaround, but then this is cool. She says a prayer. And you're like, oh man, that is really cool. And we did not teach her to say this prayer. God, will you please let me to catch a saddle so that my family can ride a horse? That's so awesome, right? You know? And then she says a prayer, casts out the line, she sees what she can catch, right? And if you talk next to her, shh, I'm fishing here. I'm fishing. I'm trying to catch a saddle here. You know, she's very serious about it, you know. And, like, you know, this girl has caught 13 saddles. And you're like, what? And she always announces what she catches very proudly, and the whole family celebrates with her when she catches it because we're actually very happy that she did catch a saddle. Okay? Now, Nicholas. Nicholas likes to go mining and exploring the deep caves to get diamonds and emeralds and gold. And he keeps track of where he is in the mines. I don't know how he does it, but he brings out all this treasure. And he's our little Minecraft expert. He spends time reading the books and watching the videos about what other people have done in Minecraft. And if there's something that we don't know how to do or to make, we ask him. And he knows exactly how to do it, and he teaches us. Okay. Veronica. Oh, she's my little quiet one. Veronica's quiet. She likes to plant trees and chop them down. And there's like 5 or 6 different kinds of trees that give different kinds of wood. And they're all very important because you're trying to build things, you know. You don't want them all to look the same. You want your things to look cool and good and awesome. And you also need wood, you know, to build just about everything you know, to build with. So, and you need to make charcoal, to make torches and that kind of stuff. And you know what? Tree planting and harvesting is the most tedious thing you will ever want to have to think about doing, right? But without it, we would not have the wood that we need for just about everything else that we do. So we really appreciate her, like, behind-the-scenes work in this area. Okay, that's Veronica. Sophia is unbelievable, man. She likes to go out at night and fight monsters. Nobody in the family, besides Sophia, likes to do this. And she loves it. It's rewarding, again, because like I said, the monsters drop a lot of valuable items, but she likes it for the challenge, I think, you know? She runs around and picks up all the cool stuff, but she just likes the idea of, like, beating these monsters, you know? And, you know, she also likes to go exploring on other islands. It's dangerous because it's really easy to get lost. And at first she developed systems of marking where she travels so that she can find her way back home. But eventually, as she got more experienced with this game and more comfortable with what she was doing, she went beyond her markers. So she went farther and farther away from the family, and she got lost. And she had to find her way back home. And you know who helped her to find her way back home? Nicholas. Because Nicholas had learned, he had developed some expertise in the game, and he knew about graphing coordinates. And he said, here's the coordinates for the family home. Here's where you are. Here's your X and Y and Z coordinates. And he said, all you got to do is make them match up. And she was able to do that to get back home. Now she never gets lost. As far away from home as she travels, she doesn't get lost because she's learned. And her brother taught it to her. So, that's my Sophia, right? Maria, my last child of four girls, one boy, right? You know, Maria likes to plant and harvest the crops and take care of the animals. And each of the animals, like I said, eat something different, so she has to plant and maintain a variety of crops. And as a result of her efforts, we have a lot more food and herds than we would ever really need. Okay, we're a well-fed family. And finally, Christina and I. Christina is my wife. Okay, we like to build things together. And I like to construct the actual buildings, the structures. She likes to kind of decorate the interiors. I'm colorblind, you know, so I have trouble with matching colors correctly. So that really works well for us. Otherwise, we have like orange, weird colored carpets and things. Okay, but let me just tell you, we've built a lot of awesome things. And we've done this as a family. We decided what we wanted to do as a family. We built castles. We built the White House. Seriously, inside and out. We got the diagrams online and the pictures, and we made it look like the White House. I wish I had had the foresight to actually show you the pictures of it, but I'm telling you, inside and out, the blue room, the red room, the green room, if you've ever been there, then we did it. We made the Lincoln Memorial. We made the Washington Monument. We spaced it out by looking at the map online and really spaced it correctly, you know, and we made it proportionally correct. It was just unbelievable. But we also did like an undersea, like city of Atlantis with the glass and everything, so we could explore the sunken treasures, the sunken pirate ships rather, and get the treasures out of them. And we built the cathedral with the tabernacle and the altar, the ambo, and the pews, and listen, the baptismal font with the paschal candle, and the confessionals, both private, you know, and face to face. Unbelievable. And believe it or not, listen, like the crying room, right? All these details, and we put them in there, and we did this together as a family. Okay, a lot of details. Eventually, I noticed that each of my children would take the skills that they were developing in our family world, and they would use them in the construction of their own worlds. They take what they learned in the family, and they practiced it in the family, and then they used it when they were building their own worlds. Okay, and I also noticed that we work really well together as a family when we're playing Minecraft. If one of the family members doesn't do their part, it slows down the progress of the whole family. Sometimes we run into situations where we need some help. We help each other. The kids are very eager to help each other out. And over time, I noticed this actually carrying over into our family life. We were practicing in Minecraft skills and things that just made our family life better. It was such a fun game, and it was so helpful for us as a family. It became this, by engaging in this carefree timelessness, this just spending time together as a family enjoying something, there have been a lot of life lessons that were caught rather than taught. On the surface, we learn the importance of health and nutrition, basic needs of food, shelter, and safety, good stewardship, gathering resources and wealth, protecting our investments. We learn the importance of education, taking the time to learn about things that enhance our lives and makes the accomplishment of our goals together much easier. But digging deeper, see what I did there, right? Digging deeper. Digging deeper, we learned about appropriate and inappropriate risk-taking, good communication and planning together. We learned that everybody in the family has value from the smallest to the greatest, and that everyone has an important contribution to make, and that everyone must do their part to accomplish a shared goal. That different gifts and different interests are at service to both the family and to the community. Okay. Religion and prayer, stress management, relationships, skills. You should see these kids negotiating with each other, right? And fighting and negotiating and compromising, taking turns, and gradual development in these cases of autonomy and independence. So I'm grateful to Minecraft, of all things, for helping my family build together and to be built up together as a family. And this idea of building family is what I'm talking about today. So, there's two senses that I want to talk to you about now. Now. If the word building is used as an adjective, in the sense, building families, building is used as an adjective, then you get the sense that it means families that are involved in building something together. And this can be as simple as building worlds on a video game like Minecraft or building a puzzle together. Some families may like to build Legos or Lincoln Logs together, and these families are building something for their own enjoyment. It can be something a little more meaningful and complex, like playing and composing music together, or creating visual art projects together. And it means that the family is working on some project that not only creates a product for their own enjoyment, but it also is for the enjoyment of other people. And it can also mean a family working together for their own material gain, like families that work on a farm or in a restaurant or have their own family-owned business, right? And of course, for me being Italian, this calls to mind a few phrases, right? You know, like leave the gun, take the cannoli, or I'm going to make him run off or he can't refuse. You guys familiar with the movie The Godfather, right? Okay, so the Corleone family, right? They were engaged in building their olive oil business. But what was really happening is they were building an empire based on organized crime. Obviously, we want families to be building things that are good and moral and beautiful and holy. In medieval times in Europe, several generations of the same family would be involved in building a cathedral. In recent times, we talk about families that scraped and saved every penny to build the church or the school or the parish. And we talk about families that act as a leaven. They build up their neighborhood or their community through volunteering their time, treasure, or talent. And if you take building families in that sense, the sense that families are engaged in activities that build up the surrounding neighborhoods, institutions, and communities, then the question is, how do we help them to do that? There are several ways to minister to families to get them engaged and mobilized and help them in their community building activities. And I would suggest that these activities could roughly be categorized into the things that each of my children were doing when they were playing Minecraft. Praying and liturgical participation, catechesis and education, behind-the-scenes support or service, social justice, advocacy, standing up for a cause that's risky or dangerous and speaking out for it, Catholic Action Network, corporal works of mercy, feeding the hungry, sheltering the homeless, networking families, setting up and hosting social events involving a meal to form connections. Sound familiar to all of you? Okay, so that's sense one. Sense two, we can also talk about building families in the sense that families themselves need to be constructed and supported. The family itself is the structure that is being built. And when we talk about constructing a family, it's important to start with the concept of family. What is family? Why is it so important? And there are a few different ways of looking at this. The church says in the Catechism that the norm for families is a man or a woman married to each other and their biological children. And it's not just the church that sees this. There's a great deal of data which points to this. Scientific studies, sociology, psychology, economics, etc., which show that the biological children of married parents have much better outcomes in several different respects than children that live and grow up in different situations. Studies have shown that traditional nuclear families are economically stronger, more law-abiding, more active politically, more productive, with fewer days off school and or work, have less childhood poverty, their children experience better educational outcomes, and present less of a financial burden on the state than other non-traditional families. Scientific research backs up Catholic Church teaching. However, if you want to build a beautiful world, you start by building families, because families are the building blocks of society. Now here's my however. While this concept the man, the woman that are married to each other and their biological children, right, is the ideal kind of family. How many people live in that ideal kind of world? Okay, I think it's safe to say, that's getting a rarity. It's not to say that other configurations are not families. Adoption, divorce and remarriage, death of a spouse, unmarried parents, out of wedlock pregnancies, etc. I mean, it would be insulting to claim that other people in these situations are not families, and that's not what the church is teaching. It's not what the church is saying. If that were the case, then it would be argued that the Holy Family was not actually a family. Why? Because Jesus was not the biological son of St. Joseph. In fact, Jesus himself said, "Who is my mother? Who are my brother and my sisters? Anyone who does the will of God the Father is mother or brother or sister to me." And so love is what binds people together. God is love, and those who live in love live in God. Okay, so let's bring this home, Steve. Why does the church emphasize the marriage between the man and the woman? Because it's a sacrament. The purpose and nature of a sacrament is to make God present in the lives of those who receive it, to heal and strengthen the recipient of grace, to empower the person to do good and avoid evil, to help the person share the love of God with other people, starting first with their families, and then with their neighbors, and then the rest of the world. While the prosperity of the family is a good thing, it's a great thing. The church is primarily concerned with the holiness of the family. The family's number one job is to get each other to heaven. Their second job is to be at service to their community, and their third job is to evangelize the world. For people who have sacramental marriages and practice their faith intentionally, these things are more likely to happen. For people who do not have sacramental marriages, who do not practice their faith intentionally, these things might happen, but they're far less likely. Jesus is the foundation upon which our families must be built. Jesus is the center of family life. Families that are built on Christ engage in activities which share Christ with the community, and in this way they build the world. So what we seek to try to construct and support families, that's the picture of what we're trying to accomplish. That's what we're trying to build. And how do we go about doing this? Well, there's different stages in a construction process. I'm sure that you're familiar with this. Okay, you try to build a building. You want to build a new house. You don't start like just a couple of days or months in advance, work for a couple hours, and just expect to have a very good building. You don't do that. You don't rush into it. Otherwise, you might expect to have a shack or some other temporary structure. Rather, if you want a really good building, you think about it and plan for it for several years in advance. You draw up the blueprints, gather resources, consult with experts, hire a construction crew. You lay the foundation, you let it cure. Concrete takes a very long time to cure. Are you familiar with the Hoover Dam, built in 1931? It's still curing. Concrete has to be worked properly and supported with rebar. If you go too fast, you don't follow the proper procedure, you don't support it, the concrete cracks, breaks, the foundation is worthless. After the foundation is properly laid, then you build the infrastructure from the foundation up. The framing, the plumbing, electrical work. Then you do the finishing work, the inside stuff. After the building is complete, the interior has been decorated and furnished, people move in, and guess what? You still got to maintain that building. There can be problems or challenges that have to be dealt with in every one of these stages. It's the same with building marriages and families. You just have to have more than a one-day pre-Cana session or a 2 or 3 day pre-Cana session. You got to have the foundation that's laid first over a long period of time. The preparation has to be well in advance and guided by experts. And in this case, that would be the parents. Just the right materials need to be acquired. In this case, the partner. Typically, we call the process of getting just the right partner dating. And dating has to be very intentional. It isn't just something that boys and girls do for the fun of it or entertainment. It really needs to be a discernment process. Like other vocational discernment processes, it's not just a private affair. It involves the church. And the couple needs to have a good relationship with each other. Clear understanding of what marriage really is, and the intention to actually have a sacramental marriage with each other before that can be built. They need to bring good habits or virtues to this relationship, and they will continue to work on strengthening those virtues and getting rid of vices when they're together. And once they get married, they need to be supported in that marriage. especially as children are born and the family grows. As the couple grows older, they're going to face other types of challenges. Marriage and family construction and support is a lifelong kind of business with several different opportunities for people like yourselves to be engaged in ministry. And it's to these opportunities that I'd like to turn right now. Opportunities for ministry in building and supporting families. The guiding document in our diocese for all sacramental preparation is called the Family Catechesis for the Seven Sacraments. It's located on the diocesan website under the Mission and Vision tab. If you look at the handout that I gave you, it's on the inside cover left, about 3/4 of the way down. And it says it right there, and that's where you're going to find it. There's the link for it right there. Okay? That's the guiding document in this diocese. And the section of the diocese, in this document rather, that deals with the sacrament of matrimony, the Catholic vision of marriage, it provides an excellent overview of the process of preparing and supporting marriages. The structure for marriage preparation that this document uses comes from an apostolic exhortation called Familiaris Consortio, given by Pope John Paul II in 1981. And it says that there are 3 phases of marriage preparation, namely remote, proximate, and immediate. It's like golf. How many of you golf? Golf? Okay, so golf, you're familiar enough with the process. You do that long drive, all the swords way out there, that's the farthest one, you know? That's like remote stage marriage preparation. Because remote stage marriage preparation is from birth to engagement. Their whole life up until the time they get engaged. Then, if you're a golfer, you know you got to sort of chip onto the green. You've got like a narrower kind of target that you got to hit, and the drive is a little bit shorter, or the hit is a little bit shorter, okay? That's more of the proximate stage of marriage preparation. That's about a year out from marriage to about 2 months before they get married. And that's where you're going to find Cana. And then you've got the immediate stage of marriage preparation. That's like where you're like putting into that teeny tiny little hole, okay? It's just like really specific kind of work. Okay, so now there isn't really much for us to do in the immediate stage. This is usually the responsibility of the priest or deacon preparing the couple. But the easiest one to see is the proximate stage, because that's where we offer pre-Cana. And we always want people that are going to volunteer to be pre-Cana. You know, we can train you to do that. But really where we need the most help is in the remote stage and in the marriage enrichment stage. Remote phase, birth to engagement. The main goals of remote preparation are conscience formation, faith formation, and vocational discernment. Teaching young people to make good judgment about what they should do and what they should avoid doing, right? You know, morality. Helping them develop habitual ways of thinking and acting, and development of virtues and avoidance of vices. Teaching them about what God has revealed to us through our faith. Helping them to be open to God's presence in their lives, sensitive to His promptings, and the willingness to say yes to God's call. Supporting them and mobilizing them to be active participating members in their communities and in the larger world. Interestingly, these 3 goals of remote preparation match up beautifully with the 3 priorities of our diocese. Creating a culture of vocation, strengthening faith formation and family life, building parishes with living stones. In the past, we've directed our activities in these areas primarily in 2 ways, through Catholic schools and through parish-based sacramental prep programs. Both of these programs focus on children. Ironically, the parents are the primary teachers for their children, both in direct instruction and modeling that they provide living out the faith. They're the teachers, they're the first teachers and the most important educators. Children will believe and imitate their parents. When I used to teach in Catholic schools, I knew that my students had learned the doctrines of the church. But when I asked them if they believed it, usually half of them would say no, which was surprising to me. Until I asked them why. And you know what their answer was? Because mom and dad taught us differently at home. Their parents disagreed with the church on this point or that, or they gave bad example and poor witness to the faith by poor moral choices that they were making. Nevertheless, those parents held more influence than I did. And they were, in fact, better teachers. So when we talk about conscience formation, faith formation, and vocational discernment, we're largely talking about helping the parents. Our ministry in the remote stage of marriage preparation must be directed to the parents, connecting with the parents, developing an ongoing relationship with them, providing opportunities to them to learn more about the faith and practice it with their families will reap rewards in 15 to 20 years when their children will be getting married or choosing religious vocations. So what can we do to minister to parents while their children are in the remote stage of marriage preparation? And so my suggestions about this really start with the process. Okay? Effective family ministry is going to contain certain elements. First of all, people need repeated exposures to truths that apply to their family lives. One event does not suffice. Repeated events. Mentoring relationships, parent support groups, websites with helpful links, either in your parish, but you can also link to the Family Life website, resource center or library stocked with books, CDs, DVDs that families can borrow, parish-led retreats, seminars, studies in Sunday school or small groups for the whole family, for parents and their children. Okay, so first, they need repeated exposure. Secondly, they need a network of support. Families, they need other families that believe the same way that they do, can share the same struggles, can help each other in times of need, can celebrate in good times. And finally, this family ministry needs coordination. Each faith community or region should have a team that works together to engage families. It should also have a person or a couple that can provide leadership and organization. It can be a liaison with the Family Life Office. Okay, so now a good model for that. Well, we've got this Family Guggenheim program. How many of you have been to it? How many of you have not been to it? You gotta go. Okay, you gotta go. It's a great program. Okay. It's a good model, I think, for the family ministry for these reasons. First of all, it involves entire families in the planning and the leading of the event, and then whole families go and participate in this 4-day family spiritual retreat. And we feed them, you gotta feed them, right? And we pray together and have fun activities and catechetical activities and carefree timelessness, and we celebrate sacraments together, and we have opportunities for families to talk about themselves, and opportunities for families to reflect on and talk about their faith. And all of those things build up families, and that's why it's a great model for family ministry. But you know what? It's a 4-day retreat, and you can't do that in your own parish. You can offer mini retreats and shorter experiences in your parish for your region. And so, some fun ideas that can very easily be implemented. Escape room. You ever heard of an escape room? Seriously? Okay, aren't those like the most awesome things ever? I just think so. Now, the family has to work together to solve a problem in order to get out of the room. Okay, it's pretty simple. You can build it any way you like, but you just got it's pretty cool. Okay, Family Olympics. Who's been involved in Family Olympics? The games. Okay. Anyone else? Family Olympics, right? Variety of fun physical challenges for the whole family, right? Christmas caroling. Who hasn't? Christmas caroling, right? Pray together first at a parish hall, then split up into large groups and go singing through different neighborhoods. Come back to the parish hall at a certain time, and then have hot chocolate and treats. It's easy to put together. Very meaningful for families and your communities, because they're not hearing it and seeing it. They're not being evangelized like they used to be. Okay. How about movie nights? We probably do that already, but there's another one, Okay, that's some examples. You guys can be engaging in that just a bit. Marriage enrichment focuses on strengthening the marriage relationship itself. It does this in 4 ways. It gives a couple a chance to spend time together without their children present. It provides an educational, catechetical component at the adult level. It provides a chance for the couple to engage the content of the faith together, that is to talk to each other about how God is working in their lives as a couple and a family. And it provides the couple with opportunities to network with other faithful couples. So here's some of the programs that are available from the Family Life Office. Okay, in marriage enrichment. Dinner for 2, you heard of this? Okay, Dinner for 2. It's where the couples sit down together and they talk and they have dinner, just like I described. 6 days for Catholic couples involves videos, very brief video presentations, they talk. Marriage, love and life, and the divine plan. A little bit more heady, but still involves catechetical presentation and talking about it. Beloved, right? We use it in some of our precanas, and we also, there's a marriage enrichment component. It's a series of videos on, it's just a great video program. And it's like I said, a series of videos that present the realities and truths of the faith, especially regarding marriage and that marriage relationship to the couples. And then they have to talk about it. And the dating project. And if you haven't seen the dating project, there's a teacher in Boston. Has anyone seen it? Great movie. We'll be making it available, I think. Definitely, not I think, I definitely will be doing this. There's a teacher in Boston that said kids don't know how to date these days. They don't even know what dating is. Okay? They have like what's called the hookup culture. Okay? That you've heard about. Okay? And we know the consequences of that. Okay, so she did this project in Boston, in college there, and she taught kids how to date. And date well, you know. And she had very specific rules about how you do that, moral rules on how to do this, okay? So, interested? I think so, okay. You can offer others. USCCB is finalizing its pastoral plan for the family and its recommended resources. And I will share these resources with you on the Family Life page on the diocesan website once it's completed. They're just wrapping it up now, and they're going to be putting it out very shortly. Whatever activity you choose, there are a few principles to keep in mind when working with families. First of all, age appropriateness of the activity, virtues training and background checks. When you work with small kids especially, need for child care. Almost every family activity that you're going to do is going to require whole families or child care. And that's one of those tricky kind of things, you know. But like Veronica's doing that, cutting down the trees and doing the behind-the-scenes support, you know, that's the kind of behind-the-scenes support that is so critical for family life ministries that often gets overlooked. But that you all could do. You could all do. And some of you might just love to do that. I don't know. Okay. Need for cooks, you know. I mean, like servers, serving food at these events. So anyways, constructing families, faithful families, is largely about ministry to adults, I would say. And the focus of the ministry is twofold but overlapping. Help adults have stronger, holier marriages themselves, and then help those adults be better parents so that the future marriages of their children will be better. Okay, now I have talked quite a bit, and I have given you a lot to think about. Now what I'd like to do, well, let me just kind of circle back over here. There's this awesome feature, another great feature of Minecraft. Okay, it's the option to play in survival mode or creative mode. Now, I've been describing survival mode up to this point, you know, but creative mode is a very different kind of experience because players can build their world with no constraints. They can fly, breathe underwater, they have unlimited availability of every kind of resource. Monsters don't attack. They are not affected by hunger. They are only limited by their own imaginations. And so what I want to do at this point is to have you break up into 10 groups. And now I initially planned for like 70 people in a group because essentially I figured there was going to be 70 people here. There were 70 people in my family, and it worked really well. Oh, how quaint. Okay, but I think it's not going to work out that way. I think there's like about 60 of you here. So let's make groups of 6. Don't get up and move. Just look around you and grab the 6 nearest people. Okay? Do that now, and I will give you further instructions after you